strategy. And I would ask permission to insert in the record a paper here, Developing and Securing America's Energy Supplies. May I put this in the record? And it shows how U.S. crude oil production is way up under President Obama, way up. Over the last 2 years, domestic oil and natural gas production has increased. In 2010, American oil production reached its highest level since '03, and total U.S. natural gas production has reached its highest level in more than 30 years. So how can my colleagues stand up and say this president doesn't like the coal companies and is trying to push them out of business so that we will have less energy production? Wrong. What he's trying to do, and we are trying to do, those of us who are going to oppose the Inhofe resolution, is say, we want to see coal continue, but we don't want it to spew forth mercury, arsenic, selenium, other heavy metals, benzene, formaldehyde, acid gases, and toxic soot. Pretty straightforward. Clean it up. When I was a kid, my mother said, clean up your room. She used to say, make a mess, clean it up. I see some of the pages are smiling because their mothers are saying the same thing to them. Well, what I found out as I matured over the years is that you come back to some of those basics. Clean up your mess. They're making a mess. But it's not a benign mess that, are in some of the bedrooms of our kids. Toys scattered around, paper scattered around, clothes scattered around. It's dangerous toxics. And it has to be cleaned up. So tomorrow is an important vote. I really hope tonight people will think about this debate, because a lot of the things we do here maybe don't have such a direct impact on people's lives. This has a direct impact. What you breathe and the fish that you eat are all related to what's going to happen here tomorrow. So I hope we'll vote no on the Inhofe resolution and allow the EPA to do its work, which 75% of the American people support. They want clean air, they want clean water, and we want to make sure they get it without interference. Let's vote down the Inhofe resolution and move forward with clean air, and I think we'll all be proud tomorrow if we can defeat that resolution. Now, I note the absence of a quorum at this point, and I would yield the floor. Make that note.
The clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Akaka.
Mr. President, I ask that the quorum call be dispensed with.
The quorum call is dispensed with, and the senator from California is recognized.
And I ask unanimous consent that the Senate proceed to a period of morning business with senators permitted to speak therein for up to 10 minutes
Without
each.
objection.
Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent that the Senate proceed to the immediate consideration of S-3314 introduced earlier today.
Clerk will report.
S-3314, a bill to specifically authorize certain funds for an intelligence or intelligence-related activity and for other purposes.
Is there objection to proceeding to the measure? Without objection.
Mr. President, I further ask that the bill be read 3 times and the Senate proceed to a voice vote on passage of the measure.
The clerk will read the bill for the 3rd time.
S-3314, a bill to specifically authorize certain funds for an intelligence or intelligence-related activity and for other purposes.
Is there any further debate? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. The measure is agreed to.
I further ask that the motion to reconsider be laid upon the table with no intervening action or debate, and that any statements relating to the measure be printed at the appropriate place in the record.
Without objection.
Mr. Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent that the Senate proceed to the immediate consideration en bloc of the following resolutions which were submitted earlier today. S-Res 496, S-Res 497, S-Res 498, and S-Res 499, and that's it.
Is there objection to proceeding to the measures en banc? Without objection.
I ask unanimous consent that resolutions be agreed to, the preambles be agreed to, the motions to reconsider be laid on the table en bloc with no intervening action or debate, and any statements related to the resolutions be printed in the record at the appropriate place as if read.
Without objection.
Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent that when the Senate completes its business today, the Senate adjourn until 9:30 on Wednesday, 9:30 a.m. on Wednesday, June 20th, that following the prayer and the pledge, the Journal of Proceedings be approved to date, the morning hour be deemed expired, and the time for the two leaders be reserved for their use later in the day, that the majority leader be recognized, and that following remarks of the leaders, the Republican leader be recognized to make a motion to proceed to S.J. Res. 37. Further, that the time until 11:30 a.m. be equally divided and controlled between the two leaders or their designees, with the Republicans controlling the first 15 minutes and the majority controlling the second 15 minutes. And finally, that 11:30 a.m., the Senate proceed to vote on the adoption of the motion to proceed, that if the motion to proceed is agreed to, all other provisions of the previous order with respect to S.J. Resolution 37 remain in effect, and that if the motion to proceed is not agreed to, the Senate resume consideration of S-3240 and the votes in relation to the amendments remaining in order.
Objection, it shall be so.
Mr. President, there will be several roll call votes beginning at approximately 11:30 a.m. tomorrow. The first vote will be on the motion to proceed to S.J. Res. 37, a resolution of disapproval regarding the EPA's mercury, air, and toxic standard. The additional votes will be on amendments to the Farm Bill in order